Good morning, guys. Thanks a lot for subscribing to my channel, and thank you for watching the videos. And today we again went for a ride in these beautiful mountains, but as you can see, we got quite a bit of weather here. And today for the review we prepared something special for you. Actually, it's a legend of sports scooters in Taiwan. It's Yamaha Cygnus Generation 4. Welcome it. Since this is already the fourth generation of this bike, I can really say that Yamaha polished every side of this bike over the past 15 years. When the first version of this bike came out, it was like a revolution in scooter world, because not just the bike looked pretty good and sporty, but also it could corner well from the factory and could be used on the racing tracks. It was so good that in fact we still can see plenty of them on the racing tracks and on the roads. The bike is still good for modifying and keeping it in stock. And the first generation was also so good that even after 15 years, after 3 generations has passed, in this bike we don't see many big revolutionized changes, but only significant improvements. The design of the bike is still very similar to the first generation. The headlight is pretty much the same. I'll put the picture of the first one in the video and you can see it. And actually all the button placements, all the lights, they're the same places, just slightly modified. The big difference in the design of the bike is actually at the back, at the rear light, stop light. It looks pretty different and looks very special. Interestingly, the suspension is pretty much the same as it was 15 years ago. Telescopic fork in the front and dual rear shocks. Just slightly more modified, a lot stiffer, and the bike handles much better than the first model. After over 15 years, the engine of the bike is still pretty much the same. It's 125cc, air-cooled, 4T, but the difference is the Yamaha added the ignition from the second generation and also added the ECU. Now the bike pushes around 13.5 horses, which actually makes it almost similar at power band as the bigger bikes at 150 cc's. On the paper it looks similar, but we will see how actually it behaves on the road. The biggest improvements are in the frame and brakes. Yamaha is now using really nice materials for the frame, and it's much lighter. The bike weighs only 110 kg, which is the lightest in its category. And also it is really rigid. The bike does not wobble at all. Brakes are really amazing here. The braking performance is second to none for the stock bikes because of the frame rigidity, because of the weight, and because how actually well the brakes are set up. And actually Yamaha has added the disc brakes at the rear wheel from the fourth generation, from this generation. That's pretty much all I can say about this bike for now, so let me give it a proper ride and see what it actually can do on the road. The seating position actually on previous generations had a big problem. Let's see if Yamaha did any changes here. Alright, here we are on the bike, let's give it a try. As you can see, we still have quite a bit of rain, but I'll give it what I can. The acceleration is pretty numb. I actually really did expect more from this bike because it's lighter and has a little more power than the previous generation, but it feels just like the generation 3. Surprising. So if you have ever ridden any recent bike with 150cc or more, you will definitely not be surprised by the performance of it. While riding it uphill full throttle, I can look around and enjoy the scenery. But it's not just because it's slow. The handling is pretty good, so I don't have to worry or bother about cornering because it's so easy on this thing. The cornering, the handling is as always just brilliant. It's so comfortable to put it down.
but I would not also say there is a big difference comparing to the previous generation. The cornering is about the same. I definitely think that is about the slowest uphill I've ever had here, because I never had 125 stock on this road. I absolutely appreciate what this thing offers, comfort and the reliability and the cornering, but I don't really like it. It's quite slow to me. I have to say I did a couple downhills, and most what I like here are the brakes. The stomping performance is really good for the stock brakes, and the tires are very nice for stock, very grippy. I didn't expect anything from this, but they are really good. Alright, I'll try to ride a little more and find some good points about this bike, but overall I think it got pretty old.
After riding the bike for the whole day, it's time to return it, and I really liked it. It was very nice to corner in it. The ride position is pretty good, and also it looks really nice. But after a whole day of riding it, I feel like it really fell out of competition, because other bikes now actually have more power by other vendors. They all have 150cc bikes, and they don't handle worse than this Cygnus. So Cygnus actually, after so many years, they were making this bike for racing track, and I think it was designed actually to be modified heavily and then be used on the racing track rather than be used in the city, because the sitting position is really like for the racing track. It's good for riding with fast, but it's not comfortable to ride it every day, because you sit up straight if you sit normally, or you have to really bend down to use it at high speeds. So that was very uncomfortable, and I would recommend that if you would really like to race, if you want to get this bike and race it hard or learn how to race on scooter, it's perfect. I really liked the stock tires. They don't look good, like they are as if they are suitable for racing, but they are very grippy and give you a very good road feel. Although the engine on the paper looks powerful, overall the bike feels very slow, and for me it was boring to ride it in straights. Very slow. For normal city rides, and if you like to ride fast, I'd suggest to go with the Racing S by Kymco or Yamaha Force 1555, much better bikes. And for example, Force with slight modifications, just make it higher, will also corner pretty well, and will be like, you could put it down very low and also ride it very aggressively. So there are much better alternatives nowadays, and this thing really fell out of competition. That's it, guys. That's all about this video. If you like it, please hit me a like. If you would like to see any special bike, just leave it in comment. I will see it and I will definitely review it. And if you'd like to see more, subscribe to my channel. I would love to show you more bikes and more beautiful places in Taiwan. Thanks a lot for watching, and ride safe.